importantly, you probably want to know exactly how does this car drive. Like any other car, put it in auto and the car does what it needs to do. But with that combination of electric vehicle and petrol engine, it's more of a seamless experience. If you put your foot down, essentially that electric engine makes up for the lag that petrol engines have inherently, and it's understandable because it needs to build up combustion to be able to move on. So this car has a decent amount of power to help it off the line. That's why this claimed 4.9 seconds to 100 kilometers is, and from I think cars.co.za posted that they actually achieved 4.89 seconds. So 4.9 definitely claim figures. Nice to see that Omoda has claimed the figures and definitely measured up to that. The range on the electric engine is rated at about 150 kilometers, and also I think the overall best claim consumption on this car is about 1.4 liters per 100 kilometers. So that's like barely sipping on a little bit of fuel, but that is of course in conjunction with the petrol and the EV engine in this vehicle. The EV of course gives you that electric range, and a petrol engine makes up to be able to keep it charged and balance fuel consumption. So you don't need to worry about anything. You can set it in eco, normal or sport. At the moment I'm driving in eco mode. Car's not quite nippy still. It responds quite nicely. Even though it's in eco mode, it does respond a lot quicker in your sport and your normal modes than eco, because eco has that balance of trying to give you the best fuel consumption of all. So 150 kilometers of range on EV. I think that's best possible range that you could probably experience, because in everyday day-to-day driving you're probably going to get a little bit less than that, because if you're going to be using the aircon, if you're going to be driving in not easy conditions, 150 kilometers is quite a long stretch. And also in my experience with the J7, which I'm not quite certain about this, I couldn't utilize the electric engine on its own below 27%, which is of course a fail-safe in the system to ensure that you don't deplete the electric engine completely. So if you're going to be using this vehicle on any day-to-day commute, stop and start traffic is definitely where you're going to see it's going to save your pocket, because where electric cars, they got that instant power and easier to pull away, petrol engines need to utilize a lot more fuel to be able to get it off the line. And then also where maintenance is concerned as well, if you're going to compare this with a petrol engine, if you're going to be utilizing that EV or HEV mode, your electric engine takes away a lot of the extra strain that your petrol engine has to of course take up, and therefore in theory keeping your overall expense and maintenance costs on your electric engine, or on your petrol engine, sorry for that, down. So definitely hybrid technology, it's not really in its infant stages at the moment, because we've seen it in the likes of Toyota, which launched the Prius many years ago. And we're seeing it more often, and I think hybrid is actually more of a better alternative to outright EVs in our country. It works away that whole range anxiety issue that someone would have, whereas if I have an EV car, I can only drive X amount of kilometers. Now at least you have the benefit of both the electric and the petrol engine to be able to work away that range anxiety, give you a car that's nice and economical, and also a car that has decent performance. I think it's a win-win for Omoda to be able to add a plug-in variant in this range. Looking at hybrids versus plug-in hybrids, what is the difference? Well, with the plug-in hybrid, you will see that this vehicle has two fuel filler caps. One of course for petrol, and the other one to be able to charge it up. It does come with a charging cord, however it's not house compatible. You will have to add an alternative plug-in section over there, or you can actually, from what I understand, get a 3-prong plug that can work with your house plug to be able to charge it. But of course I think that's either 2 or 3 kilowatts an hour, and if you charge it at that rate, you should essentially charge your vehicle from completely empty to full probably in about 10 hours. However, it'll take significantly slower charging it on that 3-prong plug than using either an AC or a DC fast charging. If you have the benefit of that you added solar at home and you add a charging station at home, ultimately if you look at your commute, you could potentially enjoy your vehicle using sunlight every day, and therefore that even further reduces your cost to be able to own a vehicle like this. How does the Omoda C9 differ from an example of a X3 hybrid. I think that's like 1.3 million if I'm not mistaken. Well, it's significantly cheaper. The overall standard features that you get on this car outright probably sweeps the floor with BMW. No disrespect to BMW because it's been around for a long time. I don't have any issues with them. It's just where Omoda wants to stand out and place themselves is definitely offering you a complete solid package. So what are the luxury features that you get within this car? Well, luxury features such as your dual displays, I think it's two 12-inch displays if I'm not mistaken. A nice color screen over here in front of you for the driver to be able to view everything, even up to putting on your maps over here to be able to see where you're driving without having to look to the left. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, definitely integrated. You can do it wirelessly. And then also a heads-up display. So where overall driver focus is concerned, definitely ticks the boxes with that. And of course where tech is concerned, by also adding those additional safety features into the vehicle as well. Safety features such as what? Well, of course, there's emergency brake assist. So if I'm looking at you for too long and having a whole conversation, if the settings are right, the car will of course intervene. You can turn those features down or turn them off as well. Not sure who would, but if you're a person that doesn't like the car to constantly be beeping at you, you would probably go through the menu and then of course change a few things over there. It also has a sensor in the front that tells me if I'm distracted or not. So if I do not look forward for a long period of time, the car will of course bing and then tell me you've been distracted, and then just like that co-driver next to you that possibly tells you. Thankfully my co-driver, which is my fiance, doesn't really do that. So thank you so much. Radio controls, everything is this capacitive buttons that's on the steering wheel over here. Weirdly enough, they've integrated that you can adjust the side mirrors using these remotes, but on the Omoda C9, they've added that feature at the bottom, and I actually prefer that because it makes it a lot easier for someone climbing into a car, not really tech savvy, to be able to easily navigate around everything that's in this car. It has auto lights, auto wipers. It even has an auto parking feature to assist you when parking. So I'll give it a try and I'll share a video on how that looks. But definitely Omoda adding quite a bit of features into this vehicle to make it a feature-rich premium luxury vehicle, especially considering that 999,000 Rand price point. So if you, of course, dwelling in that price point, definitely you want to make something not only, feature-rich and premium, but you essentially want to show that a client is getting really a decent package. And I don't think they've skimped on anything in the Omoda C9. Can I see myself driving this? Hell yes. Size-wise, I will say this vehicle feels rather large. Like, it's a decent sized vehicle. I think it's probably the size of a Touareg. It's quite a big size. So initially it can feel overwhelming jumping into here and taking it for a drive, but because you have those additional safety features like the cameras all around, your sensors all around, parking this vehicle is not a very difficult task. Because jumping in it, driving away, coming to a parking lot, trying to park it, even using the auto park feature, the car has you covered. And also, once you kind of get used to the dimensions of a car and you drive it on a regular basis, you tend to get more familiar with where things are. That's one thing that I do miss from when I used to be in the motor industry, when new cars launch. So I always used to get so excited because it's a new vehicle, you're going to get the opportunity to test drive. It's a new vehicle, you're going to get the opportunity to be able to smell like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that new car smell, but that new car smell just makes you feel like, it's wow, like this is something new. Me too. As you can see, reverse parking as easy as that. Put it in park, let go of the pedal, car's in park, and if I want to turn it off, what do I need to do? Well, take this off. First, of course, just take this off and clip this on me. Door open, out, and the car's locked. So as soon as you essentially just jump out and walk away, keyless entry picks up, and then of course the vehicle will lock. And when you get close to it again, doors open and unlock, climb in, and you can set off. Whew. So when you come to a stop, what is it like to be in the Omoda C9? Well, like I've said in most of the parts that I've been driving around, it's really a very nice place to be honest with you, because you have these two nice, decent size 12-inch screens to display everything from your usage on your battery to adjusting vehicle settings. Like, the list of settings that you're able to go into is, honestly, it feels endless. If I look at the dashboard, climbing in, everything is on. However, the car's not officially started. What you need to do in order to start this vehicle is push the ignition in, or push your foot down to turn the ignition on. That dashboard then lights. You can't select drive or park to be able to pull away. Actually, you can, but you can't pull away because essentially the vehicle forces the handbrake on. So the only way to be able to get moving is you need to put your seatbelt in so that you can set off. But looking at the layout of everything, your steering wheel is electrically adjusted, height, reach, forward, back, whichever way you want to adjust it. Your driver's side seat has multifunctional adjustment as well, from lumbar support on the seat over here as well. You've got 3 memory modes that you can able to set it with, and also alternatively you can make sure that your settings are set up that if you jump in the vehicle, it has easy access. So of course the seat will move forward or back with the climbing in and out to make it nice and easy to jump in. Definitely screams luxury, because your high-end cars definitely come with those features. Down in the middle over here, you will see a wireless charging pad. If your phone supports wireless charging, up to 50 watts. So it's dependent on your phone if it allows that kind of charging, with a nice cooling pad over there to be able to provide additional air to cool it down. Storage space, and additional storage space here at the bottom with 2 cup holders that if you want additional space, you can remove this, take this out as well. Then you have some more space at the bottom over there as well. And then if I do open the center console over here, that's of course a glove cooled box which has a cooling function. So if you need to keep chocolates cold or anything that's possibly going to melt, or maybe you made some food that you don't want to stink up the car and it needs to be kept cool, definitely you can do it down there as well. Glove box, one thing that I don't like, it has like the slow soft touch. So if you pull on it, it essentially pulls itself back up, which does kind of eat on me, but it's something very small. And then they've integrated all the cooling vents nicely in between the top and the lower section of the dash to make it look nice and seamless. So everything looks nice and classy in this vehicle. It does feel the part. On the top, you will see LED lights, of course, to be able to open and close your panoramic sunroof, which is a standard on the Omoda C9 PHEV, especially the Explore model. And then also in the driver's side seat, I've never seen a car like this. There might be another car, but good to know that Omoda decided to chuck it in. Speakers in the headrest. So if you're on a Bluetooth call and you need to be able to have a conversation, you can hear it directly behind your ears. And I think also when you're playing music, that music plays over there. And you can also add your LED lights to be able to pulse the music with you to enjoy this 12 speaker system, which is of course a Sony sound system as well. On the passenger side, what has the passenger got to do? The passenger has additional access to 2 charging ports at the bottom, USB-A and USB-C, additional storage, and if they are that type of person that loves it, they can go into the settings and add a little bit of different fragrances, because there is a natural, a Q, and a sport, which if you turn it on, you can turn to the level, and then the fragrancing system within here changes the smell of the vehicle depending on what you've selected. I'm not sure exactly how sport smells, but I know after a game of some type of sport, it's not really a smell that you want to smell. So this being the plug-in hybrid variant, you of course have the selection of choosing EV or HEV mode. HEV is of course hybrid electric vehicle, whereas EV is just outright electric. The benefit of that is that if you have sufficient charge in your battery, you can outright drive this vehicle as a full-on electric vehicle and not utilize that petrol engine, which I feel is definitely great. Passenger side, if someone's sitting behind you and they need to make additional space, you're able to adjust the seat, definitely using the adjustments on that side as well. So overall in front, I love how well kitted this vehicle is. The roof also suede. It has a sun visor, and if the sun is that side and you turn another way and you need another sun visor, they've added a secondary sun visor. Omoda has, I think, kind of thought of everything when they came up with this car. Come, let's jump into the back to see how it looks over there. Jumping into the back, I always say at the back there's not really much for your rear occupants to be able to enjoy, but thankfully they've added charging points at the bottom, also a C and a A charger over there. And I'm 1.85 and I have sufficient legroom to be able to comfortably sit here. So I was driving in this seat, and this seat is in my optimal driving position. So I think someone of like 2 meters could possibly sit over here at the back and also have sufficient legroom. But if you need to sit even more comfortably, close up the door and I can recline the seat to be able to enjoy a drive. Considering the price that someone's paying for this Omoda C9, which is $999, and you consider the competition that's out there, you could potentially use a little bit of that money probably to pay someone on a regular basis to be able to chauffeur you around and enjoy the rear part of your Omoda C9, if that is something that you wanted to do. Other than just reclinable seats, you have cooled and heated seats as well that you can be able to set up as well. You can control your aircon and you have clear visibility all around you. Panoramic sunroof definitely adds to that for something for the people in the rear to be able to enjoy. And then, because this is a family vehicle, from a safety side of things, an array of airbags all around, ISOFIX points, and for those that want to enjoy maybe a long distance, if you're having 4 people at the back, there are cup holders and bottle holders in the side and in the middle to be able to enjoy liquid refreshments while the driver enjoys the long road. The seats do fold down flat as well, if I can do that and show you how that looks. Pulling a lever, basically the seat folds all the way down, and it has a tether point here, which is required for ISOFIX seats. But essentially you can load these seats flat. Go take a look at the boot, because I promise you the boot is definitely a decent size as well. 660 liters, and when the seats are down, 1,700 liters, which in every other term of anything probably means jack in a crack to you. Because literage, I don't know. How do you measure a liter? 660 liters, what, 300 bottles of Coke? I don't know. So, like all the other Chinese vehicles, or at least all the other vehicles in this category, a power lifted boot is definitely something that is needed. There is a feature to be able to unlock this either in the front, asking a motor to do it, and even set the height of the boot if that is something that you want to do as well. There is a keyless option, which I have struggled personally to be able to do, where you need to just walk up to the boot and walk away and the boot opens itself up. But I've yet to test that again to successfully get it right. But as you can see, a rather large size boot with a parcel tray cover, which is standard. If I chuck that down over there, underneath over here is nothing much apart from extra storage space, your charging cables, and no spare wheel. Why? Because they've included a tire repair kit. So boot-wise, definitely you have more than enough space in the back over here. And what have I got to be able to put in here? Just a camera bag. Camera bag. And if I'm a person that wants to feel comfortable laying in here, chuck my camera bag to the side, climb in, and close up the boot to comfortably fit in on the inside over here. Definitely no issue at all climbing in the back, eh? If your child does get locked over here and the boot closes on top of you, thankfully it has anti-pinch as well, which, in all honesty, is one of the greatest fears, I think, of a parent, for their child to get locked between a boot, if they've got little ones especially. So you don't want to get your hands trapped in here. But thankfully, that anti-pinch feature is definitely a good safety feature to have. So, as I said, jumping on in, clipping this in, putting it in drive, and setting off is exactly what you do to just be able to get away. So if you remember that and someone's chasing you, it's the quickest way, but you need to put your seatbelt on. So what peace of mind do you get with a Omoda? Well, Omoda, Chery, Jaecoo, the likes of the Chery group, have come out with this big 10-year, million-kilometer engine warranty. I don't know why they just didn't say unlimited kilometer, but it sounds like unlimited probably is an unrealistic number, but whereas a million is like, wow, a million is a big number. And you know, with a number of Toyotas reaching that million-kilometer mark, I think it just strikes a little bit of something to say, well, there is this big, huge number that's ahead over there that potentially a brand is giving me peace of mind. So I, for one, always said it's probably a way in which to market it and just to kind of excite a little bit of interest to say I got a 1,000,000 kilometer warranty on my car. But still, a 10-year warranty on a vehicle is definitely not something to just brush over. But if you are not the first owner of the vehicle, where does that leave you? If you're the second owner, if you buy the car as a demo, where does it leave you? Well, ultimately, Omoda in the C9 PHEV have still given you a 7-year service plan and a 7-year warranty. That is definitely a much nicer offering than your legacy counterparts. Look, there are some brands out there that have been around for years that still do 5 years, but there are brands to the likes of Kia, Hyundai, your Korean brands, and there's still a number of brands that also have a 7-year warranty. So Omoda is saying, well, we believe in our product that we're offering, and we're definitely going to back it, and we're definitely going to back you as a consumer. And that's great news, because it means that they have confidence in what they have, and also just to keep you comfortable knowing that if something goes wrong down the line, the manufacturer is there to support me. When you buy a vehicle that is this tech and feature rich, there's definitely going to be concerns. There's definitely concerns about what if something breaks, what's going to happen then, how much it's going to cost. Warranties and service plans also do come with their stipulated terms and conditions, but from what I've read, there's actually a significant amount of coverage that they do offer you from the manufacturer side of things. So what's my overall impressions on the Omoda C9 plug-in hybrid? I'll say outright, the first C9 that launched, which was just a 2-liter petrol, I'm not going to say I wasn't a fan of that car. I was a fan of it. The only thing that I didn't enjoy about it was it felt overwhelming. And I think at that time when I had the opportunity to test drive it, definitely with all the specs that that car had and the kit that that car had, everything just felt a little bit over the top. But getting a second opportunity to be able to drive a C9, it's a car that I can see that I can drive every single day. It has a lovely level of comfort. It has a decent level of comfort. It's well kitted, but I think the biggest selling point on this car, and it's probably the reason why a lot of people have opted to buy C9s recently, or since the plug-in hybrid variant has launched, because they've sold more, from what I can gather, plug-in hybrids than just overall C9s. Because that fuel consumption, like, I'm not saying the other one's fuel consumption was high, it was probably close to double this amount, but still, considering the size of car and the spec of car, it ticked the box to say that it's acceptable. But someone buying this vehicle and weighing up that option of, is it going to cost me an arm and a leg to be able to maintain and drive on a daily basis? This vehicle seems like a more viable choice. So is it something that I would drive? Probably mentioned it in this video before. Yes, it is. Is it a vehicle that I would drive and own? Well, if I could afford it, would it be a car that I would drive? That's a very, very, very good question. Well, considering what's out there, I can actually say that if you had to give me the option between this, a Volvo, an X3, and you say, Ryan, choose between those which you want to drive, I think I'm going to take the Omoda. Just why? Why would I take the Omoda? Well, firstly, this car has outright decent performance. Secondly, economy on this vehicle and fuel consumption is definitely up there. Thirdly, out of those vehicles, space-wise and tech-wise and kit-wise and feature-rich, this vehicle ticks those boxes. And then also, yes, it's only a service plan. I'm sure you can upgrade that to a maintenance plan. But it has a longer overall manufacturing plan than that competing counterpart. And as much as I cannot afford the price tag of $990,000, I can gladly afford the fuel consumption of this car on a monthly basis, because it's essentially what I'm currently spending on fuel. So I would gladly drive an Omoda C9. That's the very first time that I've actually said that. Yeah, I really, this car honestly does excite me. And it's not because I am pro-Chinese, pro-anything. I like cars. And this car really has everything that you need in a car. Ultimately, it's kitted with each and everything that you needed in a car. And I don't need to go over that list again, because if you research that list, you will see that list is quite long. I can't fault this car. I really, apart from the name Omoda and apart from them not being around long, is the only reason for possibly putting a tick mark against the car. And I don't think it's a bad thing either, because on a regular basis, new cars are launched, new companies are open, and you will see those companies essentially come out with the same, if not better, than what is out there. So yeah, something really to ponder about. Really, really something to ponder about. Well done, Omoda, on this car. Like really. And now to enjoy it.